Welcome back to PIX Politics, everybody. Let's get right into our PIX panel. Today I'm joined by PIX 11 political reporter Henry Rossoff, professor at University of Mount St. Vincent, J.C. Polanco, and reporter over at The City, Katie Honan. So great to have all three of you here.
Great to be here.
So moving on, let me talk about the race for New York City mayor for a moment right now, okay? Because today, several candidates, Adrian Adams, Brad Lander, Zohran Mamdani, Zelnor Myrie, appearing together, and they appear to be going after Andrew Cuomo's housing plan. So let's talk about this for a moment. Is it time, J.C., let me come to you first, for anti-Cuomo Democrats to get behind the best candidate to defeat him in the primary?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's the only way. They had their shot, I think, with public advocate Jumaane Williams. They missed that boat, and now it's a free-for-all. And I think that their strategy is that we're going to try to get one of these guys to be number two, and then maybe, just maybe, look, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. President Nixon said it very clear. If you want to see a campaign to defeat X, bet on X, always. And this is a situation here. I mean, I bet on Cuomo with this kind of strategy. It's not going to work. And it seems like desperation at this point.
But if I may, JC and Dan, I'm talking to a lot of the campaigns, and they're saying we're not ready to talk about dropping out. We are ready to talk about cross-endorsing. Is that good enough?
No, it's not. Look, this is all about ego at this point. If you see yourself in the single digits at this point, just drop out. Endorse who you're going to endorse. Campaign hard. This idea, I'm going to keep my name on the ballot, it hurts the whole chances of defeating Cuomo.
Well, I asked Adrian Adams about this, and she said, look, it's early. I mean, we just spoke to her yesterday, and she said, look, it's early. There hasn't been debates yet. We haven't spent ad dollars on commercials yet. But in an Eric Adams world, Katie, who is he hoping, actually, in his situation, switching over to independent? What is he hoping happens here? That Mamdani wins and he faces Mamdani?
Yeah, I think someone who is way far left to him is the better chance for him in November. Of course, I mean, he's still polling abysmally, and I don't know how well he'll do in November in a race against Curtis Lewa, where Mayor Adams is leaning way more Republican than ever, embracing the Republican Party wholeheartedly. And I just don't know if New York City Republicans will pick him over Curtis Lewa. The polls don't show that. So I think if someone like Zohran Mamdani wins in June, the mayor might be more hopeful, because I think he is a little bit more aligned with Cuomo, especially with their background on some of their policies.
Mamdani will never win this primary. He will never be mayor of New York City. New York City is a centrist city. You had Republican mayors from 1994 all the way to 2013. It's not going to happen. He may win in pockets of the city, but the idea that New York City will elect a socialist is never going to happen.
All right, let me talk about the other big headline that came out later this week. The Trump administration calling for an investigation into Attorney General Tish James here. Allegations of mortgage fraud, which she came out and said are absolutely baseless. So what's the backstory?
Well, the backstory here is that she took about $500 million off of President Trump in a civil fraud lawsuit, where she basically said, and this all happened at the beginning of last year, end of the year before, that President inflated his values to, get insurance and deflated his values to pay less taxes. So this is largely being looked at through the lens of revenge. Now, as for
what's the mortgage fraud?
The mortgage fraud is. I'm not chapter and verse on the mortgage fraud, to be honest with you. I mean, did one of you guys, Katie.
It's residency. She declares a Virginia home that her niece lives in as her primary residency, which obviously doesn't make sense. I mean, some people pointed out that Trump did the same thing for some of his properties here in New York when he moved to Florida. So we'll see as it goes on. I think, she's saying it's baseless, but if there is documentation, and it appears to be, there needs to be another look at it.
Full disclosure, I ran against Attorney General Tish James for public advocate in 2017. She crushed me. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. Look, this is very political. At the end of the day, everyone who's ever been a political strategist, we have rapid fire rooms where we look at what's going wrong with our candidate, and let's respond immediately with something to deflect. So far, you have the Supreme Court coming at you 9-0 that you failed to give this guy due process and do everything you can to bring him back. You have a Court of Appeals yesterday saying the same thing. You have a tariff situation that tanked the economy. It could be seen very political, like we got to find something else quick to deflect from the negative attention. It could be it. Now, as an attorney, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. We haven't seen one piece of evidence yet. As of now, it's all allegation headlines.
It's a referral from an administrator to the AG's office and a letter posted on the president's social media. So this is not exactly a court case yet.
It's a fun fact I just learned about you, JC. Did not know that you ran for office.
Well, that hurts my feelings.
Okay.
I'll leave now.
I got to do better research. I want to get back to Rikers Island. We just had the first Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, Kaz Daughtry, and Chief of NYPD, Chief of Department John Schell, talking about ICE on Rikers Island and what exactly this means. Now, I don't know if you heard the interview, but they said they're moving full speed ahead. Katie, I want to come to you for a moment, because the City Council is putting forth this lawsuit, and Mr. Daughtry, the Deputy Mayor, is saying we're moving full speed ahead. What is the issue with ICE being on Rikers Island, and why did Mayor de Blasio get rid of it and then seemingly say, I'm okay with it?
Well, I think Mayor de Blasio was just happy to have a TV camera in front, so I think he didn't want to offend current Mayor Adams too much when he said that. But the council's concern is it's sort of a presumption. It's it's an early lawsuit, thinking ahead about what ICE could do when it's on Rikers Island. Now, First Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro has repeatedly said, if they break the rules, if they break our MOU, which we haven't seen yet, by the way, then we'll deal with it when that happens. They're going to be placed on Rikers Island to deal with people who they say are violent criminals, especially transnational gangs that need ICE intervention. But the concern is, they'll just identify people who are undocumented. And as soon as they leave Rikers Island, if they're out, if they made bail, then ICE can sweep them up. So I think the concern from the council was obviously it's the positioning of Mayor Adams and his coziness to ICE, to the Trump administration, and the concerns about safety of people who are here but not deportation-worthy crimes.
It should have never happened. It was a terrible decision. It was
to get rid of it.
To get rid of it. Look, this happened during the time in the New York City Council where they were swinging far to the left on everything that involved crime. We looked at, from stop and frisk to bail reform to raise the age to discovery in the state. Look, and the idea that you're going to get rid of ICE was designed so that you can somehow provide safety and comfort to people to be able to report crimes that happen to them without fear of deportation. Unfortunately, it went too far because now you have people that are involved in trafficking, people in charge of them in domestic violence, driving drunk, and all of that, and they're here undocumented, and you cannot report them to ICE. It was a bad decision, and I'm happy.
But JC, is now the right time, and I think this is what the liberals on the council are currently asking, is now the right time to bring it back with the Trump administration having this well-documented record of wrongfully deported, objectively wrongfully deported. So I understand what you're saying about safety elements and whatnot, totally respect that, I agree with it, but considering the track record of this administration is now the right time for this move, and that's what I think progressive members of the city council are asking.
That's a great point, Henry.
Got to leave it there. Look at you.
I need you back on the panel next week. I need you back on the panel
You're safe this week.
I had to get back at Dan somehow.
Yes, Henry, JC, Katie, good to have all three of you. And we'll be right back, everybody.